Hello, everybody. Hello. It's been a while. It's been 4 months. I apologise. I didn't mean for that to happen. It just life happened. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing marvellously well. If you haven't been here before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. My name is Jack, and I am a knitter from the south of England, living in the north of England. Where I knit and play music and work and spend a lot of time with my partner, who is Jen at Chonky Stitches. She has a podcast and is crochet, knitting, all sorts as well. Go and check that out. We also have a joint channel called Our Little Universe where we vlog our adventures around the country finding yarn. We don't always film everything, but we do try and make a little vlog out of everything. And we also do Q&As, which if you haven't seen, go and check it out by clicking somewhere, if I can get that to work. It's been 4 months. I'm sorry about that. It's been busy here. The other side of that door there have been builders bashing 7 bells out of the room next door to do a bit of a renovation. They're converting a garage, well, it was a garage, then it became a study, and now it's getting converted into an ensuite bedroom. This is going to be the lounge, this room, one day, and I will have to move into there unless I try and move out first, which you can help by clicking subscribe and liking the video. Thank you. But in all seriousness, it's been very busy, and it's meant that I've just had to sort of shut myself away and try and get out of the house as much as possible when they're here, because I don't want to hear masonry drilling going on. So yeah, that's been new. What else has been happening? The weather. I'm British, so I have to talk about the weather. It's been very up and down. We've had very hot weather, and we've had thunderstorms yesterday and hail. So it's been a bit all over the place, but it's been great. I've been able to sit, knit, chill out, make the most of it. And now I'm here with another podcast. This podcast it's got a lot of fun things in it. We've been very busy. I've got, you may be able to tell what is here next to me if you've been following these podcasts for a long time. There's quite a few finished objects. I've got, just looking at my notes, 1, 2, 3, 4 and a bit finished objects. You'll see why later. I've got a few new whips. I've worked on some other old projects. A couple of acquisitions. Not loads. There are some which I won't talk about because I spoke about them on my vlogs with Jen on the Our Little Universe channel. So if you haven't seen them and you want to know more about what yarn we have and what we get up to, go and check that out too. Remember to subscribe. If you haven't already, get yourself a cuppa. Just hit pause or spacebar or tap the screen twice in the middle if you want to go and sort that out. I'll be here waiting. It's no problem. Okay, I'm assuming you've paused it and you've come back. Hi, welcome back. I've also got a drink in my lovely fern mug. I can't remember who made this, but it has got local coffee in it. I live around the corner from a coffee roastery, and it's fatal, and it smells amazing. And every time I walk past, they lure me in to buy coffee. They're sneaky. On that note, let's dive into finished objects. The reason why I've did a little pause there is because if you've jumped straight to that, you now know what you're watching. There we go. So the first ever garment I have made is finished. I've made a jumper. I've been making this jumper since way before Rowan rebranded. I've been making the Azure sweater by Orlan Such. I'm sorry, I've butchered that. This is a boxy design, slightly cropped jumper, which I didn't really realise at the time. And it's got a colourwork yoke. I've knit it in the colours Seafarer and Ginge, and I have made a lot of errors and I've made a lot of adaptations for it to fit. Prerequisite well, not a prerequisite, but a little bit of a warning, or yeah, well, we'll call it a warning. I don't own blocking mats, so I have blocked everything using the washing line and peg method, which is terrible, but it does the job, and I will reblock this at some point soon. But here is the Azure sweater after God knows how many years. That way. It's done. I'm really happy with this. It's a bit more blue than that. Let's try that side. That hasn't really helped either. It's got this lovely orange pattern on it. And it fits really well. I think I made the medium size to fit the shoulders, but it's made it quite drapey slash... what word do I want to use? It's quite wide for me. I'm a very slim person. I'm very tiny. However, I'm also quite broad for my waist size, which means that although it fits really nicely in the shoulders, I'm wearing the wrong shirt for this. Apologies. But although it fits nicely in the shoulders, it's a bit... There's quite a lot of fabric here. But I love it. I've made it. It's lightweight. It's super comfy. I'm actually going to keep it on. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to take it off. Yes, I'm super happy with this project. It looks great when it's just got a normal t-shirt that doesn't have a super high neck like this does. And it will probably look great under dungarees as well, actually, I'm thinking, for when it gets to autumn, wintry time. I'm going to wear this a lot. So, the Azure sweater is done. I'm very happy with it. Will I make another one? No, probably not. And that is because there are so many jumpers out there that they all need to be made and they all deserve a chance. So, next finished object. In the last episode, which was, yes, 4 months ago, I was working on the mulled wine socks. This is a vanilla sock pattern that's just my own vanilla sock, but the colourway is mulled wine by Dystopic Fibre. Now, John is an excellent dyer. I highly recommend his yarns. And I am really, really happy with these. They fit beautifully. The yarn is gorgeous. Here is a sock. It's probably a little bit more purpley than that in real life. That kind of helps it a bit. But it's got a lovely chestnutty brown contrast with it that I've used for the heel, toes and cuffs. Really happy. Again, used the wrong blockers for it, but it fits my foot, so it doesn't matter. And there are indeed 2 socks. Even better. So yeah, really happy with them. Glad I got them off the needles. And I have worn them a few times. It's now too hot to wear them. So bring on autumn. My next finished object number 3, is a Stephen West shawl. Now, if you haven't watched my previous podcasts, why not? First of all, go back. No, I'm kidding. But I have made a Stephen West shawl. It is not a mystery knit-along shawl or anything like that. It is his flamboyant pattern, which is a simple knit and purl with a little bit of lace work and some ribbing and increasing shawl. Now, I made this in Ushitita sock yarn, which I highly recommend, and it is officially off the needles. There you go. It's got some really lovely features. I don't want to talk too much about it because it is a paid-for pattern, but the yarn as well is, they work so well together, and it looks amazing. Super duper happy with it. Except I can't put it on properly for some reason. Hey! There we are. So yeah, it's really lightweight. The fabric it creates is beautiful, and this yarn is just, it's perfect for it. Let's be honest, it's perfect. I will make another one of these shawls, definitely. Not just yet though. Again, there are so many patterns out there. I want to try them all. But this pattern, if you're making your first ever shawl, I highly, highly recommend this. Relatively mindless, very rewarding, very clever. Yeah. Very happy. Okay, next up. You may have seen over Vlogmas that I made a few Jason's Cashmere hats, and I never made one for myself. Until now. I had a skein of Croft by West Yorkshire Spinners, and I made myself one that I thought I wear quite a lot of most of my jackets are monochrome, so like black, or they're like blue with whites. Like I've got a denim with the fluffy, you know, the sort of thing I mean, and this would go really well with it. So I've prepared for the autumnal seasons and the winter seasons. I love this pattern. If you've never done cables and you've never done a hat, look no further than this pattern. It's a free pattern. It's amazing. It just looks great. It looks really good, and it's so squishy. The yarn is fab as well. I highly recommend their yarn, and it's really, really cool. It's a really good pattern. You can't force it. Simple as that. There are other patterns available. I can't remember who wrote the pattern for this, but it's a very, very popular pattern, and you should go and check it out, and you should go and cast one on, ready for autumn. Okay, so this is where I got to when I was last attempting to film this podcast, which was just before I started filming this version. And this is where it all went horribly wrong. My final finished object is not an object, but is a swatch, because I am making a new project, and this is going to lead me into whips. So I think this is pretty good. I have done this. Here you go. This is Colourwork swatch. You can see that there is a stone and blue, a green and yellow, and a brown and white. Let's bring that a bit closer. There we go. This is knit in Jamieson's and Smith Shetland 2-ply jumper weight yarn. It is woolly. It has no stretch in it at all. It is solid. And you may recognise this pattern, especially if you've seen my mum's podcasts over the years, because I am also making a Yule sweater. This pattern is by Susan Crawford. It's in her Vintage Shetland project, I think it's called. Or you can buy the pattern individually online. The book is incredibly interesting though, and I highly recommend it. And there is a webpage that has all the information about this sweater, because it's not Yule as in Christmas, but was worn by a man called Bob Yule. And he was a fighter pilot, and he fought in the war. I can't remember which one now, sorry. But he had this jumper, and it had several adaptations and alterations and changes made to it over the years. However, Susan Crawford then took the original jumper and found it and essentially rewrote the pattern into something that people can make. Now, it's quite a cropped design, and I didn't want a cropped jumper because, like the Azor, I had to make it longer. So I've done the same with this, and I've done quite a bit. So my whip, my first whip, is a Colourwork sweater. And when I say Colourwork, I don't mean yoke. I mean the entire thing is going to be Colourwork. This is how much I've done so far. It's a bit tricky because it's all a bit bunched up, obviously. So let's try and stretch that out a little bit. There we go. So you can see that I have done this bottom section. I've done the rib. I've done the first diamond section here. And I'm now on this trellis sort of design up the top. And I've just changed onto the green and yellows. I've had to rearrange the patterns, like the individual patterns, to try and make the length longer by the right amount so that it fits the way I want it to. And I think this is going to be amazing. I'm hoping this will be my Christmas jumper for the year. I've obviously got a lot to do. I've got a lot to learn. I have never steeked before. Yeah, this is terrifying. Luckily, although my mum is making this, and although she is technically working from the same sizing, she has noticed that there are some things that are a bit tricky. So luckily, she can help me out with that. Thanks, Mum. And it's just living in a big bag, this, at the moment, because it's a jumper. It needs the space. I will talk more about the yarn in the acquisitions bit because it's an acquisition. So my next whip is the Hermione socks, which I am knitting in, well, Hermione Everyday Socks. And this pattern's by Erica Luda, and it's a great pattern, and I haven't done any more on it. So that's the end of that one. But my next one is the 12 Blocks for Christmas blanket by Ola Lana Knits. Now, I have finished the rhombus. Here you go. This is it. I am knitting this entire blanket in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, and I love this yarn. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and all of the colours that I'm going for are the heathered colours. I've got a few more to do, but yeah, I've done another square. This is block 7, and I have cast on block number 8. I've actually done quite a lot of block number 8 as well. So in here, back to Blighty project bag with lots of badges on. Sip Sip Knit there. There's a Yarn Stravaganza badge. Ali from Little Drops of Wonderful. Lovely Ali. What else is there? There's a John Arbon one there. This one says Escaped from Sleeve Island, which I love. Yeah, lots of fun little things, but in the bag, that's what we're here for. And in the colourway, Sprinkle Heather, I think, is this. Here we go. This block is called Windmills, and it's a bit tricky to see because it's very difficult to make something look like windmills when it's only knits and pearls. However, this is gorgeous. I will give you a close-up of the yarn. There we go. It's struggling, but it's kind of there. You can see the colours anyway. Lots of purples, teals, bits of green. Yeah, it's almost square. And I'm really enjoying this. I have to focus on it quite a bit because it's a pattern and you have to follow a pattern. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. We'll get it done by Christmas. It will be a Christmas blanket and it will be done by Christmas this year. Not last year or the year before. I'm actually working on it now, so that's good. Next up, we have what I am calling the pigeon socks. This is a vanilla sock pattern that I am using to make Jen some socks. And I'm using the Wood Pigeon yarn by West Yorkshire Spinners with a matching contrast colour for the heels, toes and cuffs. So here are the two together. There we are. This is a self-striping yarn. It's great. You can't really fault West Yorkshire Spinners sock yarn. It's just does what you want it to do. It's woolly, but it's sturdy. Does the job. I have finished a sock. Here we are. This is the size of Jen's foot. And she wanted ones that she could wear with Converse, but they're not stupidly long. So she's got a sort of a mid-length leg on this one. And they fit really well. I am a fan of using the Hermione Everyday Socks toe. There we go. Because it's not a wedge toe. It's a bit more curved, but it isn't... it's not like a star toe decrease or anything. This is with a German short row heel because I'm too much of a wimp to do anything else, even though I have done heel flap and gusset before. I just like German. I like working German short row heels. And this is how much I've done off the second. These are top down, obviously. Yeah. Jen is going to have some more socks. So they get worked on when I'm watching a bit of telly or just sitting on my backside doing not very much. Jen is happy with them. I'm happy with them. They're living in this bag, which just says, just one more row with a sheep knitting on it. So thank you, Judith, for this. And yeah, there we go. Next whip, the final whip, is another set of vanilla socks, but these ones are for me. And last Christmas, I got given a beautiful sock set from Jen. And it was a sock set from Beehive Yarns. And it was her Christmas colourway. Here's the logo there. And it was the Winterberries colourway on the Audrey base. So there's some information there. You can pause it and have a look. 75/25 superwash merino to nylon. Yeah, it was a main variegated skein with a tonal mini skein. Sorry, brain melted there. And this is how much I've done so far. So this, well, actually no, let's look at the skeins first. So this is the main one here. You can see that it's sort of this lightish pale green with dark green specks, bits of yellowy stuff in there, and these dashes of red. And here is the tonal, which is a dark teal, I would say. It's not quite green. It's definitely not blue, but it's just not quite green. And together, they make a sock, which is just here. There we go. This yarn is absolutely gorgeous. It is incredibly soft. It looks amazing. This is not doing it any justice at all. But yeah, I've got no real like flashes or like pools of colour at all. It's just great. It's really well spread out across the skein. So I am super happy with this. I highly recommend this yarn as a base, and just for Beehive colourways, I have more Beehive yarn that I would like to use. So yeah, very happy with them. Again, a bit of vanilla knitting when I'm travelling, when I'm watching stuff. Oh, I didn't say. Back to Blighty project bag for Daily Profit, which I also had a Daily Profit skein or Daily Profit sock set that matches the bag. Check previous podcasts. Let's have a breather for a moment, because we're going to go into acquisitions. I don't have many. Since I last did, well, since probably a yarn haul on the Our Little Universe channel, I've got a lot of beautiful skeins, and if you want to know more about them, you can go back through them. But today we've got technically 9 skeins to show. However, 6 of them are for the All Sweater, so I will talk about them. And then there's just another 2 from a little trip that I went on recently. So, not that long ago, Jen and I went into deepest, darkest Northumberland, which is a beautiful county in the north of England, and where I kind of want to live, because there's nothing there apart from mountains, sheep, rivers, and yeah, there aren't people there to annoy me. So it sounds really appealing. In Northumberland is a shop called Fine Fettle Fibres. Now, from there, I got all of my yarn for the Yule Sweater. So, as you can see, a bit clearer here. There's all the colours. I have 202 Stone and FC39 Mix. They go together for one part. I have got FC12 Mix and 121 Mix, which is the green and the yellow. All of these are sort of slightly heathered. I tried to get some variation in there because I wanted it to look natural. Even though they're dyed yarns, I wanted it to look natural. And they do. They look really good. But I'm biased, so yeah. I've also got 122 Mix and 1 Optic White, which is the gingery browny greeny thing, and the white, which also go together. Now, I had a bit of a crisis when I was bringing these back, because the yarn that I was carrying it in, the bag I was carrying the yarn in broke on the bus. And I think I've lost a skein of yarn somewhere. This was quite a while ago now, but it's a skein of Jameson & Smith. I can pick one up. It's not too big a deal. But I brought all of that. I brought a jumper's quantity from there. It's a great shop. Please do go and check it out and support it if you're in the north of England. But we went south. By we, I mean Jen and I. And we went to quite a large event. And we went down to London and we went to Loop. I have very mixed feelings about Loop. I think it's a great yarn shop. I think they stock incredible things. However, it is not the most affordable of shops. A bit like Yak in Brighton, where it's very much specialty yarns, and it's not the most accessible of yarn shops. But I couldn't not go to Loop, and I couldn't go to Loop and not pick up anything. So, first of all, I have seen this dye company for as long as I can think of. I'm sorry that the light has now changed because it's now quite overcast, so hopefully it doesn't affect the colours too much. But I got myself some Life in the Long Grass. Now, I wanted to get stuff that I couldn't really get anywhere else. And I always like to squish yarn and feel it and, you know, actually think about yarn when I buy it. And this is the skein I went for. So this is in the colourway Fuller's Clay. It's a beautiful tonal with variations of brown and green on a sort of wheaty background with some speckles. And it's their fine sock base, which is 435 metres per 100 grams, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It's beautiful. It's incredibly soft for a 75-25 base. Smells sheepy. I'm really, really happy with it. So I could have brought a lot from there, but to be honest with you, I did not have the budget to go and spend a load of money on yarn. I just didn't. But there's some darker sections in there that you can sort of see, but my camera doesn't want to focus. So, little I've got some, and it's going to make something beautiful. Either socks or a shawl. Not sure yet. And my final two acquisitions, which are also from Loop, are of a brand which you can't really buy from in the UK. It's very difficult to find their yarn. And I managed to get 2 skeins of La Bien-Aimée. This yarn is beautiful. It's expensive, I will say that. But again, I wanted something that I could use for a project which I'd love and I would want to wear a lot. So I got their Corrie worsted in... I'll tell you a bit about it. Their Corrie worsted is... Oh, that's all in French. I can't read that. It's hand-dyed in Paris. But it's 230 metres for about 100 grams. 75% Falkland Corriedale and 25% Gotland wool. And the colours I got were olive juice and rust. Here we go. This yarn is gorgeous. I love it. There we go. There's one part of the yarn band. There's another. This stuff is incredibly woolly feeling. It's warm. So sheepy. It's beautiful. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I knew that I would want 2 skeins. So yeah, what do we think? Cowl, something colour work, definite, obviously, but I'm not sure. But I've got 2 skeins to work with, so I'm sure I'll find something for that. Yeah, very happy. It is woolly, but it's very warm. It's so woolly that I think I need to sneeze. And then when you announce it, you don't. Typical. So that is my acquisitions. And that brings us to the sort of endy part of the podcast. It has been a while and I'm sorry for that. But I have got lots of projects in mind and I've now got more time to knit. So I'm going to go now and furiously knit my fingers off and see how much I get done, and I'll be back soon with another podcast. So just a reminder, please go and check out all of the people that were involved or mentioned in this podcast, be that Chonky Stitches, back to Blighty, different pattern designers, everything else. I will link some stuff in the comments, but use Google, it's your friend. Do remember to follow me on Ravelry and add me on there. I will be your friend. Absolutely. And follow me on Instagram as well, where you will receive updates about, and lovely photos of knitting that I'm doing. Subscribe here, give it a like, give it a comment, say hello. Join the community because there are people down there. Go and engage with them. And I hope that you are all doing well. It won't be long till I'm back, I promise. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very soon with another podcast. Cheers.